Hey game designers, in this video we're going to cover how to model the head for the male. When we last left off, we attached the hands to the arms. So I'm going to go now and let's go ahead and turn off symmetry for now until we need it. And let's go ahead and turn back on our reference so that we have an idea where to make the head. Okay, and let's go ahead and frame our body here just to make everything nice and symmetrical here. All right, so as you already know from the Homer project, we're going to start out with a sphere. So it doesn't matter if you have interactive on or non-interactive on, just go ahead and click on sphere, and if you need to drag it and flip it and whatnot. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is just go ahead and move it. So I'm going to hit W, and I'm going to move it up. Now obviously it's too big, we'll fix that in a minute. Okay, get to about the location I want it. Probably on the center of the head right there. And I'm going to go to inputs, sphere 1 here. It's under the channel box under polysphere 1 here. The radius, let's go ahead and make it down. Let's go try something like 1. Okay, much better. Looking at the side view here. And like I said, most of the time though, I want an object that is smaller than the model so I can sculpt outward versus trying to sculpt inward. So I'm actually going to go even much smaller. Let's try 0.5. No, that's too small. 0.7. And maybe let's try one more and see if we like it. Try 0.8. I think I like more 0.7. I'd rather be a little bit small than too big. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and zoom in and frame that sphere. Okay. Frame that sphere there. Okay. I can do that a little bit there. Okay. So just zooming out a little bit here. First thing I'm going to do. Oh yeah. Before we go ahead and start working and deforming this sphere, let's just talk about how many subdivisions we want. If you remember from the video before, we want to make it the same number of vertices as our hole. So actually we haven't even created the hole yet. So let's actually kind of get that done. I'm going to take this sphere and hide it for a minute. And let's go back and open up our hole. So if I'm going to go down here, look at the top view. Let's go ahead and go back to poly view here. So I'm going to hit number 1 to go back to poly view. And I need to delete these faces in order to create the hole. So let's go ahead and create the hole here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Just like we planned, 12 divisions, and now we have the hole. So as you think about it, if we have 12 faces, then we have 12 vertices on the what we're going to connect it to. So yeah, so if that's going to be 12, then we want to make a head that is 12. Now, if you think about your neck is relatively cylindrical. So if you want to go back here and go to vertex mode and kind of change this and make it more circular, you should. So let's go ahead and let's try to do that. So let's see if I can grab the vertex using the top view here. Nope, you can see that I grabbed a little bit too many here. So I'm going to shift click to unselect these. And maybe I can circularize this and maybe make it a little bit more round. I'm going to see if this works here. Let's go ahead and try to circularize. Nope, the algorithm did not work. So it looks like we're going to do it by hand. So I'm going to turn symmetry on. And this is just, if you're really, really picky and you want to make your neck look as realistic as possible. So I'm just going to use the move tool and try to get this to look a little bit more circular. Right? Because sometimes when you're doing soft extrudes, you will soft extrude too much. I'm not the right point. There we go. And that could cause issues like this where let's see if I need to raise this a little bit here. Okay. Raise it like that. Okay. All right. Maybe I'll use this side view here. And let's see if I can do a little bit more adjusting here. That point right there, yes, move it up a little bit like that. and see where it connects to. Using my side view here. Okay, so maybe I want to move this one a little bit to up there, up there. And you can kind of see from the side view here, I'm trying to just create a nice, cylindrical collar around the neck. I'm gonna grab this one right here, maybe a little bit more up, and then grab this one right here from both sides, make it a little bit more up. Okay, and that's a little bit better. Maybe I want to pull this back just a bit, and that now it kind of circulates by hand. Okay, so now I have this little nice circular neck that we're gonna make and to attach to. Okay, so anyway, the most important part is that we have 12 subdivisions. So let's gonna go back to our sphere, and then let's go ahead and unhide it. Okay, and let's go back to our channel box, because this is what we were doing. We were trying to figure out how many subdivisions we want to create. And again, since the neck has 12, we're going to have 12 here. And the subdivision height is kind of up to you. The more you have, the more detail you can put. But I'm just going to go 12. Okay, I think 24 is too much, or 18 is too much. I think I only need about 12. He has some definition, but not too crazy much. So I'm going to go ahead and now start to deform this to kind of get around the head. I'm going to use the R tool and go ahead and stretch this thing out. The R tool. And go ahead and elongate the head a little bit here. Maybe move it down a little bit. That looks good. Okay, so once you have the rough idea of where you're going to extrude and what you need to have in terms of the height, now this is the part where I actually want to personally model the neck first, model the neckline. So the way I do it is I go ahead and go look for a vertex now. I'm looking for the lowest vertex and just drag it way down, right? And I'm actually going to end up deleting it now. So I drag that vertex way down. I can go to face mode and just delete all these faces, okay? And I'm going to hit delete here. And now you have a hole. Okay, if you look into perspective view, you can see that this thing has a hole, right? This sphere has a little hole in the bottom, okay? And now I'm going to go ahead and click on the first set of vertices, or maybe even on the edge if you want to do edge mode. Okay, you can either do edge mode or you can just click on vertices, whichever way you feel comfortable with. It's all the same. Okay, so I'm going to move it down first because it's going to be where I'm going to attach it to the neck. And I'm going to try to get it to be center in line with my neck like this, maybe a little bit this way. I'm going to use the R tool and stretch out this way. And then I'm going to use the rotate tool and kind of get the neck to go like that. And now maybe do a little quick movement adjustments here. Move it a little bit to the side like that. Move it up like that. Maybe rotate a little bit more this way. Get it nice and parallel. And now remember, back to the R tool. You stretch it this way, but you also got to keep cognitive of the neck on this side, right? And see if you stretched it enough this way. Oh, by the way, you should turn off your symmetry to off when you're dealing with entire vertices or edge loops. Okay, when you're dealing with an entire row of vertices, because then you kind of lose your scale tool, and so it's not quite centered. So now I can probably elongate the neck a little bit here, right? So when I elongate the red part, this one still says, to scale, but I get a look at this one and see how I'm doing. And that's perfect. I kind of got a good connection with my neck, and now I'm not to worry about that. Now I can kind of work my way up. Okay, so just like the Homer example, you can grab this row and kind of figure out what you want to do with it. You might want to grab the wrong row. Maybe time to use edge loop here. I'm going to double click on an edge, and that clicks on the edge loop. So it's the same thing as clicking on the vertices, but sometimes a little bit more accurate. And I'm going to try to scale and see if I like what's going on here. See, what's going to happen though is that I'm not going to really get that nice chiseled chin. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of make it go from this part of the neck to the back of the head. So I'm going to really tilt this thing. I'm going to kind of tilt it really high like that, and move it down kind of maybe move it a little bit to the left here. And then basically I'm trying to get it to be, this line to be in the middle of from here to here. I'm imagining a line that goes from the back of the neck, maybe right here or right here, and make it go straight down to the point where I want it. So now I'm going to use the R tool and just kind of scale it. So you kind of see what I'm after now. I'm trying to get it to where those lines are. Okay, and that looks good. Okay. And if you have like these little, concaves in, we're gonna fix that later with some soft pulling and some sculpting. Okay, so let's go ahead and check our back to our R view. If I went a little bit too far, and it looks like I actually went just about right, just about the thickness of his neck here. Okay, and we can fix some of these lines later if we so choose. Like, let's say I didn't like this edge loop. You can click on this edge loop and even make it wider, and that maybe will kind of put you at ease. Okay, so this next one, I think I'm going to make an edge loop that goes from here to this chin to the back of his head over here. So I'm going to take this edge loop and let's go ahead and rotate it first, maybe. Kind of get kind of the angle that we're looking at here. And maybe R tool, kind of, expand it. Okay, obviously I have to relocate this, so I'm going to center it a little bit more like that. Okay, R tool again, kind of get it around the neck. Okay, and again, this is just one way of modeling. If you want to bother to rotate some of these vertices so that you don't have too many vertices, that's just kind of up to you. And like I said, my goal is to actually get this to be less and less tilted and eventually get to horizontal like we're up here. But to get that definition of the chin without putting more edge loops, that's how I decide to do it. So again, it's just a matter of preference. But you're basically using the same three tools. You're moving, you're rotating, and you are scaling, right? And remember, oops, you can see right here I screwed up here. Go back to this edge loop. I scaled it this way, but that made it too thick this way. So again, you can kind of scale down like that, okay? Scale down until you hit where you want your neck, okay? So I'm gonna go back to this one now. Oops, click on the entire edge loop. Make sure you double click, okay? Make sure you double click to get the entire edge loop. And I'm gonna start scaling. And you can see from this view that I'm already too big there. So I can kind of scale this way. And does that give me kind of what I want? Yeah, and I don't need to even tilt that much. Let's just go and give it a little bit of tilt because I don't like going from one tilt to no tilt. I want to slowly ease up on the tilt. So something like that. And maybe I'm going to scale down just a little bit, see where I'm at. Maybe I'm going to move it a little bit that way. And remember, if you're a little bit short, it's fine because eventually we're going to go to smooth view and we're going to sculpt it. So you can see that from the smooth view, it's not going to look the way we quite want it yet anyway. But it looks like I can scale it just a little bit more anyway. Okay. All right. So the next edge loop is right here. Kind of plan where you want it. I think I want to start right here at the nose and maybe go up to the head up here. I'm not going to tilt too much. So, or maybe I will have to. Let's see, how do I want to do this? Maybe I want to tilt. No, I don't have enough vertices. So I'm going to go ahead and take this and I'm going to tilt it. Move it about where I think the center line will be. Go ahead and scale it. And it doesn't matter what order you do it as long as you're adjusting properly. Okay. Now obviously my my scale is too big on this side. I can scale down just using the right axes. Get around those ears. Okay. So something like that. Or maybe we won't even do the ears. We'll just make it straight and then we'll pull vertices to kind of make the rough shape of the ears. Okay, and again, this is a rough poly. We're not going to go crazy here. This one, actually, I want to maybe tilt that less. Let's go ahead and tilt it a little bit less. Cause I want to eventually get horizontal. So maybe we'll do a little bit less like that. Move it down a little bit. Just get it just underneath his nose. Maybe scale down a little bit. We're a little bit too big now. Okay, move it a little bit to the left. Up again, I click the edge loop. Click right there. R tool out a little bit. And like I said, this is just me being, my artistic preferences in terms of, where I want, geometry. You obviously are different than me. and you can choose to do it differently than me. But again, I'm just teaching you the tools for, for the ability to go ahead and model. So let's go ahead and do a little bit more modeling here. So let's go ahead and R tool up. Let's go actually, let's move it first. Move it down, move it down. Go ahead and use the R tool, kind of stretch it over to his nose. And obviously I went too far. You can kind of see this line in here. When you see the different shading colors, you probably scaled too much in one in the double direction. But you can always scale down like this. So keep the ring like that. Okay. And again, once we start going there and looking in the sculpt, we can sculpt it a little bit later. So now I think I'm just going to try to get as horizontal as I can, because now I think I really did go too much rotating here. Again, you can just use more edge loops if that's what you so choose. Add more edge loops. I'm trying to get to this point of the nose so that we have a nose already. Maybe I shouldn't even done the nose. Maybe I should have just pulled for the nose. Maybe I should have done that. Yeah, maybe I'll go back. Maybe I change my mind. And sometimes when you're modeling, you'll change your mind because this kind of looks too much of a disc. So I'm going to take that back. I'm just going to kind of go back here, just rotate a little bit less, and I'll just use soft pull because again, eventually we're going to sit there and sculpt this thing anyway. So I'm going to go back and just scale for the head. And I'm not going to worry about the nose for now. And not worry about the ears. I'll sculpt that later. Okay. Maybe move it just a tad bit left. There. Maybe use the R tool. Scale it down a little bit. And I'm going to go click on this edge loop now and double click here. And go ahead and move it. Center it where I want it. I think eventually I want to get horizontal like I said before. So I'm going to kind of choose the midpoint here. Maybe a little bit down. Oops. I don't know what that happened. Okay, go right there. Excuse me if my mic kind of goes a little bit crazy during this time. Let's go ahead and again scale. Move it. Maybe scale it down here. I don't want to scale it this way anymore. I can scale it this way. Get it around the head. Okay. And again, you want it to be perfect because eventually you're going to sit there and sculpt. I'm going to use the move tool, kind of the upper vertex. I'm not going to need as much. I prefer it here. I think I can get horizontal now. I don't need to rotate anymore because I have the chin, which is kind of the biggest one. And I'm not going to be worried about the nose yet. And you can see here I kind of sculpted too much. You can kind of bring it down here, scale it down to the head. Take the next set of edge rings, pull it down. Center it, scale it, kind of like how we did Homer's head, or Homer's body. Okay, make sure you're scaling in both directions here. Take this, move it down, center it somewhere around here, scale it in the center a little bit. Maybe I can already see here in my front view that I'm about where I want to be there direction. Maybe move it a little bit here, let's get it in the center, or scale it up a little bit. Okay, now we're getting really close to this next set of edge rings. So I'm going to click on that edge ring, bring it down a little bit, maybe right there, and move it to the center. I use F to frame, by the way. Now scale, and I think you guys get the point. As long as you're understanding the hotkeys and how to scale and how to move these vertices, you're pretty good. At the top, obviously, I can't use edge anymore because there's no edge. It's only one vertice. Grab that vertice and move it somewhere in the center of his head. Okay, and I'm looking at all my rings here, and it looks pretty good. Got a good rough idea of the head. So let's go ahead and go to smooth view now and start sculpting. Okay, so when you're sculpting, make sure that you have symmetry on. Okay, because sometimes you'll pull things for ears and whatnot, and those things there's two of, right? So let's go ahead and work on the chin first, or maybe the back of the neck. So the back of the neck, maybe I won't do the back of the neck yet because eventually I'm going to weld it. So then I can worry about more about this back of the neck. But the chin I can definitely do now. So again, you're going to use the move tool, and you're going to use B to create a soft select area that you want to pull. So let's just try this for now. So try this amount of B and just see how I like it. So I'm going to pull, and it looks like I'm pulling a little bit too much, okay? So I control Z that, and I'm going to lower down the B size. So maybe a little bit smaller, a little more targeted here. Yeah, it looks like I got more of what I wanted, okay? So that looks good. I'm going to go to the nose if I want to pull the nose just a tad bit. The problem with the nose is that I don't really have a center of nose. Where I have it right now, it's not really the center. But let's go ahead and just see what we can do and see if we can get a little nose here. So if I'm pulling too much, again, concentrate your B down a little bit, right? And that's still too much. So you might not need B at all. And just create a little tip of the nose. Yep, looks like I don't even need B at all. I'm going to turn B off completely. And move it down to create the nose. Kind of the tip of my nose. Okay. All right. Let's go and see what else we might need. No, this one looks like you can pull. I should use soft select. So kind of grab a little area here. Kind of look at here. And looks like I'm pretty much done. Maybe pull the back of the head a little bit. Maybe increase my B here. I want to move the entire head a little bit. Okay. Maybe I want to pull out for the ears. Let's say you want to pull out, just add some geometry for the ears. So I'm clicking on here. I'm clicking on here. I'm clicking on this point as well. And it looks like this is about the center of the ear. So I'm going to do a pull here. I'm going to pull it sideways. Kind of make it for the ears. And you can see that I'm pulling too much. So I'm going to Control Z that and lower down the size of my B to something much smaller. Okay, and maybe grab the other point here. Okay, and again, this is not going to be the detail. Obviously, these bumps on the head are not going to, make us look at it and think it's ears. It's just going to make us think where the ear is and where the bump might be. So, I mean, eventually you're going to go in there and you're going to add edge loops and all types of things to really, get the detail you want on a face. Okay, so it ends up turning that the amount of work you put on the face is going to be like equivalent to the amount you put the work on almost the entire body, because that's how detail faces are typically are, and that's how they define our characters. Okay, so it looks like I kind of sculpt everything kind of the way I wanted it. So let's talk about welding now. Okay, so again, if you want to weld, let's go to object view. If I want to weld this mesh to this mesh, I need to combine them. So you can use your perspective view. So you shift left click and you can select the two meshes and it'll highlight these, or you can just simply click on this and hit control and click on these. I'm going to go to mesh and combine it. Okay, and now because we kind of prepared the neck ahead of time, welding becomes very easy. So I'm going to go to weld tool. Go back to poly view. I'm going to go to weld tool. I'm going to go to center, and I'm just going to use I'm going to turn off my reference real quick with H, hide my reference here, and rotate, kind of go in, look at my mesh, and go ahead and target weld. So I'm going to go to here. Okay, and if you look really closely at our vertex here, right, it's connecting there. This one's looks like it's most farthest away. Got that. Okay, rotate here, go to here, connect that. Rotate from here to here, connect that. Here to here, connect that. So this one goes to there, that one goes to there, and now we have our neck connected. Okay, so let's go and go back to this is kind of our poly view here. Let's go back into our soft view and make sure that you turn off your welding tool and kind of look at any quick sculpting that we need to do to kind of clean up our model. So I'm looking here, and it looks like the neck maybe is a little bit this particular one's too wide. So I'm going to go and use my move tool, kind of push it in a little bit. Oop, is my symmetry still on? I want to make make sure this, yep, I have my symmetry still on. I'm going to push it in just a tad bit there. Yeah, I get that neck not so, like it has a collar or something. It looks like this one's a little bit too much as well. Pull it in a little bit, make sure I have symmetry on. Pull it in a little bit, okay? Go look over here. It looks like, let's see. And again, this is like, kind of getting into the nitty gritty details. You don't have to do this if you just don't see the need to. This is just me trying to create that definition of a neck. So I'm going to pull that one in a little bit there and kind of get the good view of the neck. Okay. So let's kind of look at the nose real quick. I'm going to hit my reference. Actually, I don't want to hit my reference back on. So you see this nose is too big, obviously, even for a soft poly model. So what you can really do if you really want to add definition is you pull these vertices tighter. So I'm actually not going to even use smooth select right now or soft select. And I'm just going to really hone in on the nose. So I'm going to push it in, right? Push in, these vertices are really close to the nose. Right, and you can see now that we see more of an eye socket and kind of give a little bit more definition to the nose. Still not, crazy amount of definition here, but, enough to kind of give us a feeling of a nose, right? So that's kind of like our nose right there, and we can, again, put more detail later by adding, more edge loops and whatnot to really give it more definition. But I mean, for a low poly model, I think we did pretty good. Kind of same critique for the ears, right? So if you see this ear, it's like kind of pointing out too big of a bump, right? Well, you can just hone in on this right here. Pull that in to get it tighter. Pull this in right here, get a little tighter. Pull this in. Pull this in. Pull this one in, pull this one in, and the bump becomes more defined. So you can see from this view right here, it's a little bit more defined. And actually the ear kind of goes kind of like that, right? So this is one bump that's up. You can see from the side view over here, this ear might want to go in a little bit. And, maybe the ear tip itself want to go a little higher, like that. So, we're just modeling right now, trying to give it a little more definition for our ears, our head. Let's go ahead and turn back our reference and see what we got. And, oops, let's see what I do. What happened? Did I move my group? Okay, well, I don't know how that happened. Let's go ahead and fix my group real quick. Make sure grab my entire group. Let's move it down to, I think it was like 12 or something. Nope, 8. Lower, 4. 0. Oh, there it is, 0. Huh, it looks like my model was a little bit moved. That's kind of weird. Let's see, put this back to 0. Oh, there it is. Okay, all right, we'll just go back to the model and kind of look at the nose and ears and kind of get that detail. So that does it for our video on how to model the male head.